computational thinking students. In this tutorial, we will see how to solve computational thinking practice assignment uploaded on the online degree website. Let us start with the instructions given. Different font styles or punctuation symbols are used as follows. Italic plus underline represents steps of the procedure. Bold is used for variables. Italic for a field from dataset and double quotes for a value from dataset or dataset name. These different font styles will help us identify various elements of a procedure. Question 1. Mark the following statements as true or false. Statement 1. Initial value of variable count should be 0 while counting cards in a stack. If we convert this statement into a procedure, then it will look something like this. Step 1. Maintain a variable count and initialize it to 0. Step 2. Read and move one card at a time from the stack and increment count. Step 3. Repeat step 2 until stack gets empty. Here in step 2, we are incrementing the variable count and counting always starts from 1. Therefore, the initial value of variable count should be 0. Hence, the given statement is true. Statement 2. Initial value of variable mean should be 0 while finding lowest marks in a subject. If we convert this statement into a procedure, then it will look something like this. Step 1. Maintain a variable mean and initialize it to 0. Step 2. Read and move one card at a time from the stack. Step 3. If subject marks less than mean, then store subject marks in mean. Step 4. Repeat steps 2 and 3 until stack gets empty. Here in step 3, we are updating the variable mean only when subject marks are less than the current value of variable mean. If we initialize the variable mean to 0 in step 1, then its value will never change because all the subject marks will be higher than 0 and we will end up having incorrect mean value. Hence, the given statement is false. Statement 3. Initial value of variable max should be 0 while finding highest marks in a subject. Let's convert this statement in a procedure which says, Step 1. Maintain a variable max and initialize it to 0. Step 2. Read and move one card at a time from the stack. Step 3. If subject marks greater than max, then store subject marks in max. Step 4. Repeat steps 2 and 3 until stack gets empty. Here in step 3, we are updating the variable max only when subject marks are greater than the current value of variable max. If we initialize the variable max to 0 in step 1, then all the subject marks will be higher than 0 and we will get correct max value. Hence, the given statement is true. If we summarize statement 2 and 3, then we will realize that the initial value of every variable cannot be 0, especially when we are calculating lowest or mean of something. In such scenario, the initial value should be the highest in the range. For example, in the case of subject marks, 100, because that is the highest possible value. Question 2. What will the values of A and B represent at the end of execution of the given procedure on the scores dataset? And the drive link to the scores dataset is also given below. We can click on this link to access the dataset, but for this question, we don't need the actual dataset values. So let's start with the procedure. Step 1. Arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Step 2. Maintain two variables a, b and initialize them to 0 and 100 respectively. Step 3. Read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Step 4. If A less than physics marks, then store physics marks in A. Step 5. If chemistry marks less than B, then store chemistry marks in B. Step 6. Repeat from step 3 to 5 until stack 1 is empty. All these given options talks about the highest and lowest marks of physics and chemistry. In this procedure, we are doing some computation on physics and chemistry marks in step 4 and 5. And in step 2, variables A and B are initialized to 0 and 100 respectively. Based on what we learned in question 1, we can say that the variable A is used to find max, whereas variable B is used for min. In step 4, variable A gets updated only when physics marks are higher than the current value of variable A, which confirms that the variable A is used for highest marks in physics. Similarly, in step 5, variable B gets updated only when chemistry marks are lower than the current value of variable B, which confirms that the variable B is used for lowest marks in chemistry. Hence, the correct answer for question 2 is option A. Moving on to the question 3. What will the values of A and B represent at the end of execution of the given procedure on the scores dataset? Here in step 2, variables A and B are initialized to 0. In step 4, we are looking for date of birth, which contains the month July. And if that is the case, then we are executing step 5. In step 5, variable A is getting incremented only if the gender is male, and if not, then variable B is getting incremented. As we know, in scores dataset, only male and female genders are there, which means variable B is getting incremented when gender is female. From the combination of step 4 and 5, we can conclude that this procedure finds the number of male and the number of female students born in July, which is option B. Next question 4. The following procedure finds the town city of the topper student from the scores dataset. But the programmer may have made a mistake in one of the steps. Identify that step, if any. In this question, a procedure is given which may or may not contain a mistake. We have to identify if there is a mistake based on the purpose of the procedure given in the statement. Let us read the procedure carefully, keeping in mind that it is designed to find city of the topper student. Step 1. Arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Correct? Step 2. Maintain a variable max and initialize it to 0. Correct? Step 3. Maintain a variable city and initialize it to none. This statement may look a bit odd, but it is correct. The variable city is supposed to store the name of the city, which is not a numerical value. Hence, we cannot initialize it to 0 or any other number. Therefore, the variable city is initialized to nothing, which is represented by none. Step 4. Read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Correct? Step 5. If total marks greater than max, then store total marks in max and town city in city. Step 6. Repeat steps 2 to 5 until stack 1 is empty. Now here is the mistake. In step 6, the procedure is repeating the iteration from step 2, which is incorrect because steps 2 and 3 are initialization steps, and initialization should happen only once before we start the iteration. Therefore, the step 6 should be repeat steps 4 and 5 until stack 1 is empty. Hence, the correct answer or the incorrect step is option F. Question 5. The given procedure finds the number of students having below average total marks in the scores dataset. Fill in the blanks from the given choices and complete the procedure. In this question, a procedure is given with some missing steps, and we have to identify those steps from the given options. The procedure is supposed to find the number of students with below average total marks. For this, we will need two non-nested iterations. First, to calculate average total marks, and then second, to find the number of students below that average. To compute average, we have to find the count of students and sum of total marks. This sum of total marks is the missing step at step 5. So the correct step 5 would be add total marks to variable sum, which is there in options C and D. Now we have to find the next missing step, which is the part of that second iteration where we find the number of students having below average total marks. To find this, we should compare students' total marks with the earlier computed average, and if total marks are less than the average, then we will increment the variable BA count. So the correct step 11 would be, if total marks less than average, then increment BA count. Hence, the correct answer is option C. Next question 6. The following procedure counts the number of words from the paragraph words dataset, where part of speech is verb and letter count is greater than or equal to 5. But the programmer may have made a mistake in one of the steps. Identify that step if any. Just like question 4, here also we have to find the mistake in the given procedure if there is any. So let us go through the procedure step by step. Step 1. Arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Step 2. Maintain a variable count and initialize it to 0. Correct? Step 3. Read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Correct? Step 4. If part of speech is verb and letter count is greater than equal to 4, then increment count. This is the incorrect step because as per the given statement, we are looking for verb with letter count greater than or equal to 5, not 4. Step 5. Repeat from step 3 to 4 until stack 1 is empty, which is correct. Hence, the correct answer or the incorrect step is option D. Moving on to question 7. The given procedure finds the average length of words in the paragraph words dataset. Match the given options with their equivalent missing steps. In this question, we have to match the given options A, B and C with their appropriate missing steps 2, 5 and 8. Let us read the procedure. Step 1. Arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Now step 2 is missing, and we all know that we have to maintain and initialize the variables before we do any operations on them. Therefore, step 2 has to be option B. Step 3. Read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Step 4. Increment count. After that, step 5 is missing. In order to calculate average, we require two values, count and total. And option C computes the total. So, step 5 is option C. Now, we have left with only one missing step and one option which calculates the average by dividing total by count. Hence, step 8 is option A. Question 8. What will the given procedure compute and store in variable X if executed on the shopping bills dataset? In this procedure's step 4, the variable A's value will be set to 1 if Ahmad has a shopping bill from SV stores. Similarly, in step 5, variable B's value will be set to 1 if he has a bill from Big Bazaar, and variable C's value for Sun General in step 6. These steps will execute on all shopping bills as part of the first iteration. Then there is second iteration which starts from step 8, which checks the values of variable A, B and C in steps 9, 10 and 11 respectively. If any of these variables value is 0, then its respective shop name gets stored in variable X. That will happen only if any of those variables values has not been set to 1 in the first iteration. Therefore, variable X will hold the name of the shop which Ahmad never visited, which is option E. Next question 9. What will be the value of X after the execution of the following procedure using the shopping bills dataset? This is a numerical input type question where we have to find the exact value of variable X. This procedure counts the total quantity of milk sold across all shops. And this is the list of all such shopping bills where item milk is there. Shopping bill 1, quantity 1.5, shopping bill 3, quantity 1, and so on till shopping bill 26 where the quantity is 3. So if we add up all these quantities, then we get total quantities, which is the value of X, as 22.5. Hence, the answer of this question is 22.5, which we have to enter manually. Moving on to the last question 10. The following procedure finds the average total bill amount of all the bills generated at SV stores from the shopping bills dataset. But the programmer may have made a mistake in one of the steps. Identify that step if any. Once again, a procedure is given which calculates the average bill amount of SV stores, and we have to identify if there is any mistake in it. So we will read the procedure step by step. Step 1. Arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Correct? Step 2. Maintain two variables, sum and count, and initialize them to 0. Correct? Step 3. Read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack2. Correct? Step 4. If the shop name is SV Stores, then increment count and add total bill amount to sum. That's also correct. Step 5. Repeat steps 3 and 4 until stack 1 is empty. Correct? Step 6. Maintain a variable average and initialize it to 0. Correct? Step 7. Calculate average. Divide count by sum and store the result in average. Here is the mistake in step 7. Average is calculated by dividing sum by count, not count by sum. Hence, the correct answer is option G. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Happy learning.